Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And this is actually going to be our second attempt at a video talking about the death of DVD. We actually did a whole video yesterday, and we decided to table it because right after we recorded the video, the word came out that Sony is actually going to take over DVD and Blu-ray disc sales for Disney. So this is kind of a big deal. This means Disney is noping out of physical media themselves. But Sony, of course, they have a vested interest in it because they sell Blu-ray players. It's their technology. You know, they sell DVDs. But we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about the decline of physical media and why you probably want to buy physical media because it is in rapid decline. Everybody was being pushed into streaming, but there's a lot of stuff you can't really you can't watch sometimes on streaming, or you have to watch like an altered version of it.
Altered version, yeah.
You know, and so the versions of Splash and Lilo and Stitch that Sony released, are they going to be the edited Disney Plus version, or are they going to be the original version?
They'll probably be the edited version.
I'm sure. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about how the Disney Movie Club is shutting down because you know, again, why would you have a Disney Movie Club if you're not selling physical discs yourself? And then this whole article about how the DVD biz has circled the drain and it's going down the tubes. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So yeah, this is our second stab at this topic. And again, literally right after we recorded this like half an hour video about why you should keep physical media and how studios are trying to push everybody into subscriptions. It's announced that Disney's pawning off its physical media to Sony.
Yep.
So this is coming from Variety. Disney strikes deal for Sony to take over its DVD and Blu-ray disc business. They're outsourcing a big piece of its home entertainment division to Sony, which is going to manufacture, distribute, and market the Mouse House's DVDs and Blu-rays and other physical media.
Now, is this going to affect Australia? Because didn't they just pull it out of Australia, their DVDs and stuff?
They did.
Does this mean they're going to go back, or does it mean they're just in general, they're just not going to sell it there?
Well, it might mean that Sony, if Sony wants to distribute to Australia, it might be like you guys do whatever you want to do, like you've got the license or whatever. But this is kind of par for the course for Disney, especially now because all they care about is streaming. But they've often outsourced stuff, you know. But this is a huge deal, and it shows that there's not much money in it for them personally. But it could also be that they're not very good at it anymore. I mean, they were selling empty boxes for WandaVision, for God's sake.
Yeah, you know, that's true. They did. They did later added DVD versions too with actual physical copies. But yeah, it was like, oh, you can pay the price of a physical DVD for a code in a box.
Yeah, I know, right? As part of the deal, Sony's going to market, sell, and distribute all of Disney's new releases and catalog titles on physical media to consumers through retailers and distributors in the U.S. and Canada.
U.S. and Canada. Okay, that's U.S. and Canada. That answers the question.
But not Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy's going to pull theirs too, yeah.
Disney will continue to manage its own digital media like premium video on demand. So Disney just doesn't want to handle physical media anymore. They just don't.
So it's definitely going to go to on demand. I mean, it usually does anyway, before it goes to DVD, for sure. Because they're going to want to get all the money they can get first. Yeah,
we'll talk about that as they talk about the DVD business crumbling. And again, you know, Sony does have a vested interest in this because they make the players, right? So they want people to buy physical discs. And I think you should buy physical discs. I said that they're unclear if this is going to result in layoffs at Disney. However, the studio is expected to conduct an internal assessment across all business functions that support physical entertainment. The licensing model allows the studio to continue to offer films and TV shows through physical retailers and to respond to consumer demand more efficiently.
Basically, they have to handle it.
Yeah, this is kind of how it works with their comics, too. People don't realize, like, other than Marvel Comics, Disney outsources everything to other publishers. They just don't want to be bothered with it. To them, they're like, you pay us, you know, for the privilege of publishing Disney stuff. And it might be that Sony's looking at like, well, we're just going to cherry pick the stuff we know is going to sell the best. You know, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. They bring up, actually, they have the numbers from the article we were talking about yesterday here. They're talking about the decline.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's this article. This is what we talked about mostly yesterday, saying
which also is from Variety.
Which is from Variety. They said that the DVD business has circled the drain for years. We actually had a video up called "R.I.P. DVD," and now Sony is going to make DVDs. So damn it, Sony. Now, here's the thing, though. Don't trust Sony because...
I was going to point that out. They were the ones that, everybody had the Funimation.
Yes. You have Funimation and Crunchyroll, right? So when they convert everything over to Crunchyroll, you're not going to be able to take your digital titles with you. And this is another reason why you need to buy physical media. And as we talked about in the scrapped video, I foolishly decided I wanted to get rid of a bunch of our DVDs because they were taking up too much shelf space. And I converted everything to Vudu, right? And now Vudu's like been sold a couple of times, and there's no guarantee that any of these streamers could stay in business.
Right, and you're effectively renting it. You buy it. Now it's just basically renting it until they decide to no longer rent it to you. So they could change the terms at any time. Another reason to buy physical, besides the fact that, you're getting the original way it was intended or whatever version you wanted. They're not going to change it for streaming.
Nope.
You can watch anytime you want. You don't have to pay for a streaming service. If a place that like a Vudu or Crunchyroll decides they're going to pull it or decide not to give it to you anymore, you still own the DVD.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's going on here. And I think part of the reason that so many places are getting out of physical, and I think it was the case with Disney, it was probably like either we outsource it or we just shut it down. They want you to subscribe to their services indefinitely. They want you to subscribe to Disney Plus every month and to buy the content on digital because there's no overhead for them. And if you buy a show that you watch or maybe something that is a subscription driver, like say The Office or Friends, and you buy the DVD set or the Blu-ray set, you might not subscribe to the service anymore, right? So they want you to just, be forever subscribed to their streaming services. And I can almost guarantee you that a lot of the stuff that they bring out going forward is not going to be content that they want you to subscribe to Disney Plus for. No. They're just not going to do that. Or if they release something, it's probably going to be like the super ultra premium extra special edition of Song of the South.
Yeah, they're going to tell you put that one
I'd
out.
pay
100%.
Hey, if Sony did that, oh my God, that would be the most amazing thing ever.
They won't, because they're still beholden to Disney's rules. But all of this stuff with the DVDs was partly kicked off by the Disney Movie Club. They announced the Disney Movie Club was shutting down yesterday. If you remember the Disney Movie Club, it was kind of like the Columbia House and all that crap where you paid I think it's now $1, but it was a penny at one point, and then shipping, and then you had to buy so many, items within a 2-year time frame at the regular club prices, which were already vastly inflated. So if you were part of the Disney Movie Club still, it's shuttering after 23 years. If you had an outstanding commitment left, it is now considered completed. You don't have to buy anything else.
Yes.
If you have credits, you can either use them before May 20th or you can get a refund. And you can make orders still to May 20th. And after that, it's completely done.
Yeah, so this is, I'm shocked that it's still around, but it was one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you 4 movies for free, but then you're beholden to buy a whole bunch of movies from us at full price for the next 3 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was
full price was way higher than what you paid.
Oh yeah, it was okay, this $15 movie is now $35 bucks or something,
and shipping.
So you're paying for those movies. Yep, you're paying for those movies, and I don't even know if Columbia House is still in business.
I don't know. That's the one most people know. And that was CDs. They had book ones. They had DVD ones.
But I would strongly recommend, getting older DVDs or older Blu-rays because, so much has changed, especially with Disney. They keep putting these content warnings on their old movies. And we've seen some idiotic changes to movies. We mentioned Splash, where they digitally added about 2 feet of hair to Daryl Hannah's ass. Looks terrible. Mm-hmm. And not her ass, the hair. But you can't see her ass. That's the whole thing. And that was a PG movie back in the early 80s, right? But Lilo and Stitch, they have Lilo hiding in a pizza box or something under a cupboard instead of a washer or dryer or something.
I think it was a dryer.
Because that makes sense. Yeah, so Disney is always going to tinker with these movies. They're going to. Eventually, they're going to cut whole parts, I can guarantee, out of Peter Pan and other movies that are quote unquote problematic. And, the only way that you can have an original version or a close to original version is if you buy a physical copy. And that's that. But they don't want you to. They want you to forever be subscribed so you can forever be in the now. Mm-hmm. And, just a lot of studios are doing it.
But it doesn't, to me, it seems kind of I mean, I don't know. You think that they make more money? They want you to have to go to their SVOD services. They want you to go to their just to pay for their streaming channel to supposedly get the whole catalog that they never gave or whatever. And because they want people there, so that's why they do what they do. And they want to see the current versions of these things. But they would make probably more money in the long run off of selling the physical media. And so, I mean, I don't know. But I guess that since people aren't buying physical media, which they've that's their own fault for that too, I think.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's they kept pushing everybody to streaming. And they're talking about how people don't have the discretionary income they used to have. And people got used to buying things on digital. It was easier. A lot of times it was quicker than buying on Blu-ray, and you don't have to deal with the storage issues.
You could get it out. You could get it there first. Like a lot of times they would go to the VOD and you could just pay for it like a Voodoo way before it would come out in the stores.
Oh, yeah. And so, they did kind of do this to themselves, but I think this is what they wanted. I think they eventually want everybody to be subscribed to their services, but they are going to make a lot less money. I mean, because you're talking, having somebody subscribe $10, $15 a month or $20 a month or whatever to a streaming service versus maybe buying multiple DVDs. And Disney people especially always bought a lot of DVDs. They would buy like everything. They made an event out of it with the VHS. They were always like, oh, we're bringing whatever out of the vault for the first time in this decade. And now it's a super deluxe platinum diamond encrusted edition of the same movie that you already own. But
you need this one. I would recommend, if you're buying physical media, look at garage sales, things like that, because you're going to find them there. I would check the discs because sometimes they're not in good shape, but a lot of times they are. You can even get whole lots of movies on, eBay or whatever, but again, you can't check them. But you can easily buy them. They're still pretty cheap. People are selling them, ridiculously low because most people aren't buying them anymore. So you can get them easily, and I recommend you just do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to a place now where the only way to actually have this stuff forever, or at least close to forever, I guess, is to have that physical copy. And I think there's going to be a resurgence in this. I mean, come on.
Always is.
We've got people now that want, younger people like our kids that want vinyl and compact discs.
Yes.
There's no reason really to have it because you can get pretty much all that music digitally, but there is something to be said about actually owning a physical copy
and now
of something.
Walmart has like a whole sections dedicated to records and stuff like that. CDs never went away, but the vinyls and stuff now, like it used to be like one little area, and now it keeps expanding because there's more demand in actually having the physical copy. It's like people like digital comics, but a lot of people like to have the physical comic or book in their hands. I think it's just about preference, and I think there's a return to tangible, tactile experiences.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I mean, comics especially, like digital comics are okay, but it's, actually picking up that book and reading it and having it in your hand and being like, you feel like you actually own something when you can actually hold it, in your hand. And Disney fans are collectors. It's going to be a really interesting thing to see if they're going to release like everything or if they're going to be really picky about what they release. If it's just gonna be like Marvel stuff or whatever, but it's a huge deal. I mean, that's a huge deal for Disney to just be like, you know what? Yeah, this home video thing. This was our kind of our bread and butter for the longest time. You know what? Sony, you just take it.
But here's the thing too. That's weird to me. Is like Sony. Like, why would they agree to do this unless they thought they were getting something out of it? If they didn't think they were gonna sell movies, they wouldn't do it. So I'm wondering what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna do something because Sony wouldn't have agreed to be the one to produce it and handle it all if they weren't expecting to make a lot of money in doing so. So I wonder what we're going to see. Like, I'm assuming Disney's going to do something, we're going to do special editions and all that crap or something, because otherwise people aren't going to buy it. Like, you know what I mean? Why would Sony agree to it unless they had some plan for something?
Yeah, because again, it's like it's got to be something a little extra than just, we're going to dump the same movies on DVD again or Blu-ray again. It's got to be like a really primo version, but might cost a primo price too. But it would be interesting to see them bring maybe some stuff that, has been vaulted for a long time back out, or do like
something.
They used to do Disney Treasures. Remember that, where they were the nice collections with, we will not get Song of the South, although that would be amazing.
That would be pretty interesting. I mean, they used to be able to get them bootleg copies or get them.
You still can.
Or get I know on Amazon they don't do it now, but they might still do it now, but not for that one, where you could find something that was not in high demand enough to warrant an incomplete printing of something. So you could just order paper disc type situation.
Yeah, it was like print on demand, but with DVDs.
Because I know like the Child of Glass or something. I got that one for my mom. Once.
Yeah. That would be interesting if they did something like that, because I mean they have a lot of older, especially like cartoon shows like Hanna-Barbera shows and stuff that you could for a while on Amazon just kind of order, you'd order them and they would just burn a copy for you and be like, oh, somebody actually wants a copy of like Captain Caveman. Okay, we'll burn them a copy of it, and that's how they did it. But so this is pretty interesting because this was a huge business segment for Disney, and they're just giving up on it. They're just like, yep, there's no money in this. We're gonna go all in on streaming, guys.
I'm saying there has to be, or why would Sony agree to do it?
There's some, but I think just not. This is what Disney wants to do. And it might be just a simple that they're looking at like, okay, we need to actually focus on making the content. Somebody else wants to focus on selling physical media in this market. Good luck.
We can lay off a bunch of people.
Plus we can lay off a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then we can blame Sony if,
it fails, yeah.
It fails, so it's their problem. We're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.